You are now listening to Cable Connect with Dr. Jason Cable, VP of Intercollegiate Athletics at Alabama State University, the place where history is made. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 10th edition of the Cable Connect. I have a very important person to the program sitting with me today, Coach Eddie Robinson Jr., head football coach at the Alabama State University. Thanks for coming on today, Coach.
Absolutely. Always great to be here and talk about Alabama State and Alabama State football.
And speaking about Alabama State, Coach Robinson has a rich history with the university and the athletic program, coming here in the late 80s as a walk-on offensive lineman and leaving here being drafted. And so, Coach, kind of talk a little bit about leaving New Orleans, coming to Alabama State University, walking on as an offensive lineman, changing positions, and then having a successful career.
Yeah, well, I think the short story was it was truly a blessing. You know, sometimes God puts you where you're supposed to be and you don't realize it. I had never been to Montgomery before I came here. So no recruiting trip, anything like that. I had a partial academic scholarship. Actually, I found that paperwork. It was signed by Dennis Barnett. And so I need to get that and frame it and show it to his kids. But it was pretty cool because when I came up here, I knew a couple people from New Orleans. They had a couple guys from St. Augustine High School. Our coach at the time, Houston Markham, the SWAC office was in the Superdome. So my dad worked in the Superdome. And so he knew the commissioner at the time, knew a couple of Jackson State folks who knew Coach Markham, and said, yeah, we'll give him a chance. And so I just came up here. My mom dropped me off in the Chrysler and pulled off 30 minutes later with about $50 in my pocket. And from there, just kept working hard and kept getting better, played offensive line my first year, moved to linebacker my second year in the spring. And just kept working. And I think that was the biggest thing. We had guys that just wanted to come here and work every day. And I just got better and better. I was blessed. I only missed one game in college, didn't have injuries, anything like that. But I truly just listened to my coaches. And so I checked a lot of the boxes. I probably wasn't great at anything, but I was pretty solid at all the different topics that we had.
Yeah. Had to be more than solid, to play double digits in the NFL. And talk a little bit more about the experience, because when I look at your resume, being the youngest to be inducted into the SWAC Hall of Fame is one thing that I recognize. And then also just the academic accomplishments, being an All-American, an All-Academic American as well. So talk about that experience on campus outside of football that kind of helped shape you to the person you are today.
Yeah, so I was a chemistry major. I came here. My mom was a school teacher. So she was a middle school teacher, junior high back at the time, and then she was actually a principal. So the education aspect of it was something that I just knew I had to do. I had an academic scholarship my first couple of years. I don't think I switched over to an athletic scholarship to maybe as a senior, and I think I kept the academic the whole time, and Coach Markham just paid the rest of the money. But you really had to burn the midnight oil. So on Sundays, everybody else would be watching NFL football or just hanging out playing spades, and I was in the library. So I was very organized and disciplined. I still have a block schedule to this day. I show it to some of my coaches and to the players of just making sure that everything was where it was supposed to be. So I was always an organized kid, and I just had to work hard. So people say, man, you were pretty smart. I said, I studied hard. And so I had some really good teachers, Dr. Maryland at the time, Dr. Wallace. I mean, they just really put a lot of time and effort into me, and I really liked the chemistry. I enjoyed it. I wanted to go into biomedical research or something like that. But as you start getting a little bit better with football and the options start moving in that direction. So I never really used my chemistry degree, but I definitely appreciate the time that I was here. I think those core values of, working hard, discipline that I learned from the academics and athletics, it really has helped me in the rest of my life.
Right. And then leaving Alabama State, going on to a successful NFL career. That career, as it does for everyone, it ends one day. And then you step right out and start working with the Southwestern Athletic Conference, giving back by way of commentating. And you had your own show.
Yeah, I did. So Inside SWAC, me and Everson Walls, the legendary Grambling State University cornerback, Dallas Cowboys, should be in the Hall of Fame. So we still pushing to help him out. But yeah, it was a show. I would fly up from Houston to Birmingham once a week to the SWAC office, and we would film a show. Did it for about 3 years. It was a great way to keep me involved in the game, in the conference. I was also doing ESPN games also. So it was pretty busy. You know, you kind of look back on your life and you think back, you say, wow, I never really intended to get into broadcasting. Mm-hmm. So at the time, a friend of mine when I was living in Atlanta was like, hey, you ought to go down. I just retired. So yeah, you ought to go down there to the Fox studio, and they need some retired NFL players to talk about the NFL. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was doing. When I first started, I was talking really fast. And my first game was actually an Alabama State game in Detroit. When I got on there, it was Charlie Neal and Lynn Borney.
Wow.
And so these are the two guys that used to call my games for BET. Wow. And so, you know, first half, I'm just kind of looking, and I'm going to be like the guest guy. So I'm dressed up. I'm ready to go. Alabama State's playing. And so it's pretty good. In the third quarter, like, all right, Eddie, we're going to get you on the air. So they like, yeah, that was a great play. Did you see that? Eddie, what you think? And I froze. I just looked at the camera. But, you know, the film was there. I didn't say anything. And Charlie was like, so I'm like, oh, yeah. So it was a pretty funny moment. Me and Charlie still laugh about that. But then from, you know, calling that first game with Charlie, that ended up being on ESPN. So I tell you a fun fact, the first ever ESPNU game was on a Thursday night. Me and Charlie Neal, it was Morehouse.
Wow.
And the running back was the son of Denzel Washington. So little did I know that I was like, and they was like, yeah, we're going to start this new network, ESPNU. We're going to focus on Thursday night football. Because at the time, it was not a big Thursday night football for college football. So I'm living in Atlanta. I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. And so, you know, at Morehouse, and then it went on to ESPNU. Right.
Yeah, that's history that I didn't know.
That is, yeah.
You know, we gotta go in the archives and pull that up.
I have the footage. Yeah, it's on Facebook, but it's on a private link.
Got it.
So if you search it, you won't get it till I send it. But it's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna show it to the team because it's pretty cool, man. I think I've had a pretty interesting life. Just worked hard. I've been very blessed. You know, the hard work sometimes doesn't always pay off, but in my situation, I think the hard work has really paid off. So I'm blessed that I've been given those opportunities. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate it. You know, even being a head coach here at Alabama State is one of those things. You know, you got to wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm blessed to be the head coach of a Division I football program. Right. And as much as I love the SWAC, to be a member of a SWAC institution school at the head of the football program is something that you definitely got to appreciate. And I think the good thing about it, like the other coaches in the conference understand that same too. We have a really good group of SWAC head coaches, and all of them are promoting your university, but we're all promoting the conference at the same time.
Absolutely. And so as we transition to the coaching career, I know in terms of being a student of the game, middle linebacker, you know, at all levels as the quarterback on defense and really understanding all aspects of the game of football. And so what made you want to turn your attention to make the big step to become a head football coach?
Yeah, so I would always do football camps. And so it was just something that was natural to me, just working with kids, giving back. I've had so many great coaches in my life. So I realized there's no way I would have been successful without. I had coaches who, they believed in me more than I believed in myself. Like I'm wondering, can I play in high school? My little league coach, man, you gonna play in high school? And then in high school, they're telling me, nah, you gonna play in college. In college, they're telling me. So I had coaches who believed in the dream even more than I did. And so if you can inspire a kid to go further than what he thinks he can go, it's just a great feeling. You know, just going back to last year with James Burgess, you know, kid that wasn't starting when we got here. And so you know the whole journey. And we're sitting here as he wins the Aeneas Williams Award in Oklahoma, me and Coach James, and it's like, it's just a teary-eyed moment because, you know, it's an hour and a half banquet, but nobody realizes the hard work, the conversations we had in my office, the hard work he put in on the field when he was wondering, hey, will I get a chance to play in the NFL? My goal is to start at Alabama State. And I'm like, no, you can be all conference one day. You know, you got a chance to play at the next level. Same thing with Keenan Isaac. And so when you can do that, man, it's just a blessing to pour into a young kid who's going to go on and hopefully do those same type of things. So I kind of realized early that I wanted to be a coach. I assumed that I was going to be an NFL linebacker coach. That was really my goal. And so, because then I could have really like got with the young kids and kind of groomed them, which I was doing that as a player. You got to think, by the time my 8th, 9th, 10th year, guy Keith Bullock, who came talk to the team recently, he was one of those young guys who I mentored up. So I figured I would continue doing that type of thing. And so then I just went into coaching baseball, coaching my kids, training kids. So just always being involved. And then when the opportunity came, it was like, man, it was just where I was supposed to be.
Right. And so then you came in, took the job, you were announced, and you talk about coaches having an impact on your life. I know we talk often, and Coach Markham always comes up in the life lessons you learn. What are some of the things that he taught you that when you took the job within the first 60 to 90 days, you was like, you know what, Coach, he was right?
Well, the thing with Coach Markham is, I think when we were doing a coaching search, him and I was on the search committee right before he passed away, a couple of years before he passed away. And I'm thinking, like, I've learned everything I can learn from Coach. Like, he's taught me about life. We've been friends. Our family's gone to Yankees game together and everything. And I learned more in that, like, 2 or 3 weeks. Like, it's just the lesson started. I'm like, man, it's like, I thought you had so much more. So, but I think one of the biggest things is just the aspect of hard work, So his thing, if a man don't work, he don't deserve to eat. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, it's like I think he was just an old school, like, Mississippi coach, but just was so smart and wise in a lot of different areas. Another thing he would always tell me, that you always got to be humble. Yep. He's like, never get so big in life. So you got to be big enough to be little enough to be humble enough to know that you got to care for everybody in the world. So, and that's some of the things that I live by. It's things I talk about all the time. And so those are things that I tell my kids. Like my son has got more Coach Markham quotes, even though he knew Coach never played for him. And so I think that's the impact, of being a coach, is that I tell my coaches that you're really affecting 2 generations. It's the kids that you're coaching, but then they're going to tell the kids that, hey, my coach always told me. And so now it's this generation and the next. So it's a big responsibility. So, because you can direct those kids and their children in a positive way or in a negative way. You can give them a negative college experience. And I know you always talk about the student athlete experience. And so that's huge to me. I want everybody, whether they play or not play, however much success they have on the football field, I want them to feel good about the time that they spent here at Alabama State.
Right. And so we go from 60 to 90 days, right?
Yeah.
But now you're in your 4th year.
Yeah.
So 3 consecutive winning seasons. Had some ups and downs, things you can't control. But as we focus on this year, what things have happened over the course of the last 3 years that you think that has you better prepared to reach your goal, which is a championship, in your 4th season as head coach?
Yeah, so I'm a big journal guy. So I take that and I write, and then I go back and I do my coffee shop days and I reflect back. And at the end of the season, you write, this is what I thought, and then this is what happened. So with that, what I did this year, just kind of looking at the path that Coach Markham had with us, and the aspect of, just working kind of with a sense of purpose, where every day we're doing something to get better. Now, we had unlimited amount of time, so he was saying we're going to rep all the time. So, but just talking to some of the coaches, some coaches who won championships last year, I talked to, hey, what did you do different? Hey, over the summer, Coach, I put a little bit more emphasis, and I started earlier in June as opposed to waiting in August. So for me, realizing with the landscape of college football with a lot of new guys, so I committed to the process of having morning meetings, which I would usually start during camp, but starting in June. Right. So now it's a detailed message every morning, or every morning we would meet probably like 2 or 3 days out the week. So now you kind of start that mindset of, hey, when the season starts, we're building on this. So once we started the season, I was already into it. The kids already knew the pathwork. I mean, the footbridge was already kind of down there. So I think that was one of the biggest things. And I think just the relationships in the building. The coaches and I, we did a little coaches retreat, went down to New Orleans, just realizing that, I'm asking a lot out of those guys. And one thing Markham would always do, he would always thank the coordinators and always realize that the people in the building have to be committed to the success just like me. Right. Like, we started talking about Swarm as One, which we kind of co-created, but I had a probably bigger impact than you. But when we had, it's an inside joke, but the biggest thing about the Swarm as One is that originally I was just thinking, hey, this is about the defense, swarming and having a defensive mindset. But then it really involved, to me, having an understanding that a coach alone cannot win a championship. Right. Like, it is truly a community event. And so everybody's involved. And I think that's what I learned from Coach Markham of, hey, the people at church, they want to see you and touch the kids.
Yep.
We got to go out into the community and go to the YMCA. We have to shake hands with it. I mean, first of all, it's the right thing to do, but you want them to all be involved in the process. And so many, the biggest joy, we love winning football games, but when professors or people in the community, somebody comes back and say, hey, we saw one of your kids and they were so nice. And it's just, you're like, man, that's worth it. Because now you're understanding that this kid is making an impact in their community outside of Alabama State Family. So I think those are the type of things that we're reaching to. The discipline starts off the field. That's another big thing he would tell us. You don't wait to lift weights till game day. You lift weights during the week to get strong for the game. So the discipline happens during the week. And so for me, those small things that I would let go, I'm not letting them go this year. So when we park, like we come to the Houston Markham Complex, you're not supposed to park on the left side of the street. So every day when I pull in, like if it's a kid, hey man, go move your car. So now it's like when I pull up and nobody's parked on the left side of the street, that's an example of we're starting the day off with discipline. He said, well, coach, this is just a parking spot. Yeah, but the parking spot leads to the wrong color chart. It leads to on 3rd and 10, you run the route at 8 yards. But so it's a matriculation of do what's right because it's right every day in every situation. And it ends up where you get that one more play, that one more this, because the last 2 or 3 years is really been, and I showed it to the kids, it's been about 5 or 6 plays that was the difference of us being in the championship game. So we're right there. I'm excited about it. The kids are excited about it. And everybody knows the goal is to win the championship. Like nothing else will feel good. And that's how I want it. Every year I'm here, I want it to be where the goal is to win the championship and nothing else is going to make us feel happy. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the mindset I know you have, and that's the mindset we all have to have.
And I think we end with the goal in mind. Before we end, I want to ask Coach just 3 quick questions.
Okay.
What do you listen to on the way to practice?
What do I listen to on the way to practice? I love that question. So, I'm a big reggae guy. And so I have my reggae playlist during probably March, April, May, June. All right? It kind of changes a little bit more to soca every once in a while. Once we get into the season, then it's Mind of a Lunatic by Ghetto Boys and Scarface. So the mindset has to switch because my mentality is more of this is a big moment. We got to go get it. So it's a definite switch from off season to in season music.
So Ghetto Boys,
absolutely.
In season
reggae rest of the year.
That's a major difference, Coach.
Major difference. But what I tell the kids and what I tell people, what you have to realize is that the guy that it takes to play in the NFL and the guy that it takes to play in the SWAC, you can't be that guy all 6 days.
Right.
Like the enthusiasm and the energy and the violence that I'm telling you to play with on Saturday night, you can't show up with the cafeteria like that on Sunday morning. It doesn't work. Right. So people don't realize is that, hey, you got to be a different person, including me. Like during on game day, my tolerance for, hey, is the meal served on time is very, very small compared to on Wednesday. So you got to be 2 different people to compete. And football is not like tennis or golf where you shake hands before the game and all that. No, it's more like, that type stuff. So.
We've seen that before. So favorite meal, pregame.
Oh, that's easy. Well, pregame, we're on salmon. We're salmon, sweet potatoes, rice, bread, that type stuff. So, which is kind of funny because my diet is pretty set. I'm a big on my diet and everything like that. So before it was chicken, it was steak, it was random. I was like, nah, we need to get to salmon and baked potatoes and kind of make sure that it's something that we're gonna digest good. So at first the kids like, what's up with this pink fish? So now we got 2 different flavors of salmon. The salmon is totally gone. The kids are loving it. So hopefully I made a positive impact of them knowing, like from a nutritional standpoint, what's the best thing to eat. So.
All right. Now this may be a little difficult question for you.
All right.
So require a little thought. If you had to impersonate one of your players, who would that be and what would that impersonation look like?
So we have a new kid on the team. So he's you always have your favorites. Coaches say you're not supposed to have favorites. That's not true. You got kids, you got a favorite kid. You know what I'm saying? Which one you going fishing with? You're going to pick one, right? So, but probably be Ricky Nichols because he is just either Ricky Nichols or Twilly. So Ricky Nichols is from Mobile. Super funny kid, linebacker, and he's just doesn't realize he's funny.
Right.
So, And then the other one would be Twilly, because he's from New Orleans and he got a real thick New Orleans accent. So I impersonate Twilly because he's easier. So what happens is when I put my PowerPoints up, I'm saying, hey, let me get a reader. So it may be, hey, this is the beginning of a new day. So Twilly, for some reason, sits in the front and he's, I got you. so he jumps up and then he'll say, methodical mean that we got to do the same thing at a real good way day after day. You heard me? And I'm like, Twilly, that ain't. So and everybody busts out laughing. But it's great because I love that he has the confidence to get up in front of everybody. And then he always add a little New Orleans at the end. So.
All right. Well, that concludes our edition of the Cable Connect. Once again, Coach, thanks for coming on today. I learned a lot.
Absolutely. That's the whole purpose of it. And I appreciate you having me and look forward to seeing all the other episodes.
Swarm is one.
This is the beginning of a new day.
God has given us this day to use as we will.
We can waste it or use it for good.
What we do today is important.
We exchange the day of our lives for it.
We want to be good, not bad.
Gain, not loss. Success, not failure. In order we never regret the price we paid for it.
This is the beginning of a new day.
Touchdown, Bama State.